the same ones that dominated the Iraq battlefields. The Patriot missile defense system provides protection from ballistic missiles and aircraft. But America didn't stop there.
Olá pessoal, sejam bem-vindos ao meu canal. Meu nome é Natália, mas você pode me chamar de Nath. Eu adoro reagir e aprender sobre outros países, especialmente aqueles bem diferentes do meu, em termos culturais e econômicos. Então, se você gosta desse tipo de conteúdo, fica à vontade para se inscrever. Vou adorar ter você por aqui. Bom, nesse vídeo eu vou reagir a por que a Polônia é um problema. Então é isso, sem mais delongas, e vamos para a reação.
While the rest of the globe is busy with traditional Western giants such as France and Germany, there has been the gradual emergence of a new giant in the East.
Zdecydowaliśmy także o rekordowo wysokich wydatkach na obronę.
Poland, the country which emerged from communist backwood to European colossus within the last 3 decades. Poland is the country that has been turned into a military behemoth, in 2025 spending a record level of 4.7% of its GDP on defense, the highest share of the NATO alliance. From the F-35 stealth fighters to the newest missile defense systems, Poland is building one of the strongest militaries on the continent. But how did a post-communist country become the 6th largest economy in Europe and the eastern anchor of NATO? When communism fell in Eastern Europe and the Berlin Wall came down, it left Poland with an awful economic mess. Try to envision an economy with bare shelves, prices increasing out of control by over 250%, and an entire industrial sector of aged Soviet-style equipment nobody wanted to purchase. Communist regime had left Poland with massive foreign debt, creaking infrastructure, and factories that produced goods no one could sell on the global market. As the other post-Soviet nations, like Russia and Ukraine, descended into oligarchy and corruption, or like East Germany went off to merge with their Western neighbors, Poland was faced with a unique circumstance. It needed to build its entire economy from scratch and do it without sacrificing its independence or democratic form of government. The scale of the transformation needed was staggering. What was involved wasn't adjusting a few policies here and there. Poland had to redefine capitalism in a country where private business had been outlawed for generations.
When I was a member, I set up a group of informal group of economists in Poland to work on radical economic reform.
Leszek Balcerowicz, the finance minister of Poland, intervened and took over the economic plan called shock therapy. Rather than gradual, slow reform, Poland opted for the radical policy. All of it must change, but change everything in one leap. It's like tearing off a Band-Aid. Pain in the short run, but quickest relief. Through the Balcerowicz plan, Poland's economy was liberalized on 3 fronts. Privatization, the transfer of the thousands of state firms to private owners and the creation of an authentic market economy. Currency stabilization, the introduction of the convertible zloty, and the control of the hyperinflationary process. Opening of the Polish borders to competition and to foreign capital flows. The outcome was at first brutal. Joblessness skyrocketed, the majority of the old industries failed, and the standard of living dropped. Foreign investors, however, started pouring in, drawn by the educated labor force, geographical positioning, and determination to reform. Multinationals such as Fiat, Coca-Cola, and McDonald's saw opportunities where others saw mayhem. By the mid-1990s, the medication began to take hold. Poland's economy was the best performing in the whole of Europe, and the shock of it all, after the 2008 recession, Poland was the only country in the whole of the European Union that never had one. Yet economic reform was insufficient. Poland's politicians realized they required assurances of security, or everything they had won so recently would be lost in a moment. After all, it had been a country invaded and partitioned by its neighbors time and again over the centuries.
Nossa, mas realmente é muito curioso, porque a gente observa tudo o que a Polônia passou, né? E todas as tentativas de políticas e planos que foram implementados, e como muitos tiveram que falhar até chegar no que a gente vê hoje da Polônia. Realmente eu acho isso fascinante, porque é um país que passou por muitas dificuldades, mas conseguiu se reerguer, né? Conseguiu se reinventar. E é incrível também como consegue fazer tanto investimento na área militar, mas não tirar isso de outras áreas, né? Eu digo isso porque conforme eu reajo aos vídeos aqui, eu vejo que a Polônia tem muito desenvolvimento tecnológico, na questão do IDH também. A maioria das pessoas são alfabetizadas, tem acesso à educação, então é um país que realmente tem um nível muito bom, mas a questão de estar investindo em educação, na saúde e ao mesmo tempo ter dinheiro para essa questão militar, realmente me surpreende muito, porque mostra um grande equilíbrio aqui.
Of the people of Poland, the Cold War, which forcibly excluded our country from the West, ends with our entry to NATO. Poland is a member of the most powerful alliance, bringing together democratic nations of Western Europe and North America, joins the vital process of bridging all divisions and contributes to the security and stability in Europe.
When NATO started to enlarge its membership to once communist states in the 1990s, Poland took the opportunity. The security stakes were as clear as daylight. Boris Yeltsin's Russia was in shambles and precarious, but the Polish government figured that it could not happen indefinitely. They had 3 centuries of Russian overlordship to recall and were not betting. Moscow predictably resented NATO expansion, but that was secondary to Polish security concerns. Entering NATO in 1999 put Poland in the shadow of Article 5, the article stating that an attack on a member is an attack on all. Poland had America, Britain, France, and Germany firmly behind it. Membership came with duties. Polish troops had to get more modern overnight, adopting NATO standards of equipage, training, and communications. Interoperability, as it came to be called, would prove important later when Poland was one of America's strongest allies in Iraq and in Afghanistan. 5 years on, there came the greater payoff: membership of the European Union. It wasn't easy to join. Poland had to demonstrate it was capable of meeting high standards in democracy, the rule of law, and economics, but the payoff was huge. Overnight, Poland had unrestricted access to the European Union's single market of more than 500 million customers. Polish companies could ship their products over European frontiers without barriers and tariffs. The membership of the EU provided Poland with access to the huge fund programs. Billions of euros of structural funds to elevate the standard of the poorer regions of Europe to that of the richer ones would finance Poland's next great jump of development. That's where the magic began, really. Since they ascended to the EU in 2004, Poland has been granted more than 100 billion euros in structural funds, the biggest beneficiary of EU funds to date. That's roughly the total of Poland's GDP in the year it ascended to the Union. This wasn't just sprinkling free money around. It was an investment in Poland's future. It was the EU's money for grand road construction that unleashed Poland's cities onto the wide motorway system of Europe. In 2004, the trip from Warsaw to Krakow took you through villages and towns. Now, smooth motorways blend together all across the country, reducing traveling time by half. It went a lot farther than roads. New connections to the high-speed European networks by train united Poland with the rest of Western Europe. Even Poland's communications infrastructure was upgraded. Fiber systems reached the country's rural areas that had hardly any phones in the communist era. And the brilliance was the multiplier effect. For each kilometer of freeway that went in, there were hundreds of folks actually doing the construction, so they had wages to spend that circulated into their regional economies that produced even more jobs. It was economic development on steroids. Better logistics altered the economic competitiveness of Poland.
Isso realmente é muito interessante, porque eu reagi a um vídeo sobre o transporte na Polônia e me chamou muita atenção como o transporte na Polônia é muito eficiente. Parece que nem mesmo atrasa. Então é uma coisa realmente muito louca para mim, porque aqui a gente não tem toda essa eficiência no transporte. Mas é curioso realmente, porque conforme as coisas vão evoluindo e mais investimentos são feitos dentro do país, as coisas vão realmente gerando mais emprego e isso vai reaquecendo a economia. Realmente é incrível, porque eu vejo que a Polônia criou um ecossistema, né, muito, muito autossustentável. E eu acho que isso acaba impulsionando cada vez mais esse país a crescer. Eu acho isso fantástico porque é um meio muito inteligente, né, de você sempre manter as coisas em funcionamento. Eu não sei se aqui no Brasil daria para fazer algo do tipo, mas eu sempre olho e acho muito inspirador isso. Eu acho que se o Brasil adotasse ou tentasse copiar um pouco desse modelo, acho que seria realmente muito, muito bom para os brasileiros.
Infrastructure boom did more than transfer people and goods. It brought the economy of Poland to the big leagues of European business. With world-class infrastructure in place, Poland was set to undergo its next makeover. As the manufacturing hub of Europe, the makeover was nothing short of spectacular. Fiat invested in a massive factory in Tczew and Volkswagen in factories in Poznan and Pokowice. They were not only assembly factories, they were highly complex manufacturing factories producing cars to export to the rest of the continent and even to beyond. Poland also became a center of car parts manufacturing, with Continental and Bosch opening factories to produce for the entire European automobile industry. Electronics production also flourished. Companies like Dell, Samsung, and LG chose Poland as the European center of their productions because of the skilled labor and low cost. On the other hand, Poland's food processing industry capitalized on Poland's agricultural heritage, with companies like Tyson Foods and Unilever setting up massive plants to serve the European markets. The statistics are mind-boggling. Poland was now EU's sixth largest economy, with its exports having grown from $28 billion in 2000 to well over $320 billion today. Poland's biggest trading partner was now Germany, which absorbed almost 30% of all Polish exports. This connection to Germany was extremely strategic. Poland had basically been the production extension of Germany, where German firms could make products at a lower price but still have European quality standards. The two economies were highly integrated with intricate supply chains. Polish plants also supplied German motor behemoths such as BMW and Mercedes-Benz. German makers of machines subcontracted the manufacturing to Poland, but maintained research and development in Germany. It wasn't exploitation. It was economic cooperation that was convenient to both countries. Poland's strengths were attractive. Wages were significantly lower, but the population was highly qualified and highly skilled. Polish technicians and engineers could turn out German standards of output with 1/10 of the cost, so Polish products had the ability to compete anywhere in the world.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции. Ее цель – защита людей, которые на протяжении 8 лет подвергаются издевательствам, геноциду со стороны киевского режима. И для этого мы будем стремиться к демилитаризации и денацификации Украины.
While Poland was building its economic miracle, news to the east was providing tough reminders that prosperity counts for nothing if there's no security. Russia's 2008 invasion of Georgia provided the first wake-up call. Putin's Russia was back in power, assertive, and prepared to militarize its disputes with neighbors. But it was Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and invasion of eastern Ukraine that truly shook Poland into action. Poland suddenly found itself on the NATO front line. The complacent assumption that great European warfare was a thing of the past vanished overnight. Polish politicians suddenly learned their country wasn't just some other EU member. It was the critical stopgap between expansionist Russia and the heart of Western Europe. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Poland emerged as the main transit point for Western military aid to Ukrainian forces. This wasn't paranoia, it was strategic realism. And Russian talk of historical Russian lands was not lost on a nation that had been erased from the map by Russian expansionism in the past. Poland's reply was historic, a military buildup on an unprecedented scale in Europe since the Cold War. Today, Poland spends 4% of GDP on defense, NATO's highest percentage, twice as much as the alliance's 2% target, and more than the United States' proportion of economic output.
Gente, isso realmente é fantástico. Você vê que aqui foi dito sobre o conhecimento, né, que os poloneses tinham, e realmente é incrível isso. Aqui no Brasil, infelizmente, não estão investindo muito na mão de obra, né, não estão investindo muito no que antecede essa questão da mão de obra, que é o conhecimento. Infelizmente, isso acaba prejudicando muito, porque a gente acaba não tendo mão de obra qualificada. Então, as pessoas acabam sendo muito desvalorizadas, muitas pessoas estão abrindo mão dos seus diplomas e tudo mais. Aqui no Brasil, as profissões que mais pagam bem, que mais são qualificadas, são profissões que exigem diploma. Mas devido a essa questão de desvalorização que está ocorrendo, especialmente em relação ao governo, não está mais promovendo o acesso à educação, né, mão de obra qualificada, acaba que isso está minguando muito, né? A gente está perdendo muitos profissionais nesse sentido e acaba que o Brasil está se tornando um país muito desindustrializado. A gente está perdendo muito disso, isso afeta muito no nosso PIB, né? Principalmente quando reflete no nosso PIB per capita, porque é o que mais importa, né? Nem tanto o PIB, mas o que acaba redirecionando a qualidade de vida de um lugar também muito em relação ao PIB per capita. E aqui a gente está com ele muito, muito baixo devido a essa questão de desindustrialização. Mas eu vejo que na Polônia isso é um problema que realmente vocês não têm. E isso eu acho fascinante.
The shopping list is a wish list for any military superpower. Poland purchased 32 stealth F-35 Lightning IIs from the Americans, one of only 9 nations to use this advanced plane. They've also purchased 250 M1A2 Abrams tanks, the same ones that dominated the Iraq battlefields. The Patriot missile defense system provides protection from ballistic missiles and aircraft. But America didn't stop there with arms for Poland. They've bought 288 South Korean K-2 Black Panther tanks, some of the world's most sophisticated main battle tanks. The HIMARS rocket launchers, which were so horribly effective in Ukraine, are being shipped in great numbers. Poland is buying more than just arms. It's building a domestic defense manufacturing base. The goal is not merely to be powerful militarily, but to be independently militarily powerful. Polish firms are collaborating with American, South Korean, and other allied firms to produce advanced weapons systems within Poland. This policy serves a variety of aims. It creates high-tech jobs, reduces Poland's reliance on overseas suppliers, and turns Poland into a regional defense hub. Other NATO allies are receiving weapons and components made in Poland, which makes defense spending economic opportunity. The vision is clear. Poland will be the arsenal of Eastern Europe. The energy security has become the keystone of Poland's independence policy. Poland was perilously reliant for decades on Russian natural gas, which provided Moscow with vast influence over Polish policy. Poland, however, broke these shackles systematically. The Świnoujście LNG terminal, launched in 2015, enables Poland to take in liquefied natural gas from the United States, Qatar, and others. Additional terminals are scheduled, providing several supply channels that avoid Russia altogether. Poland's nuclear program is yet another departure from Russian control. Instead of Russian reactor technology, Poland has chosen American and French investors for its planned nuclear plants. Furthermore, enormous investments in solar and wind energy are reducing dependence on all foreign sources of energy. Poland is building a new power bloc in Europe that is not reliant on the traditional Franco-German axis, but articulates Central and Eastern European interests.
Gente, incrível. Eu realmente fico chocada sempre que vejo coisas da Polônia, porque é uma evolução atrás de evolução, né? É fantástico quando você olha para o histórico desse país e vê o que vocês poloneses estão fazendo, mas como bem dito aqui no vídeo, não se trata de ser apenas poderoso de forma militar, mas também ser independente, né? Então, assim, principalmente no mundo hoje, como a gente está muito instável, né? Devido à ruptura que teve, né? No eixo que a gente estava mantendo, de uma tranquilidade maior em relação a guerras. Agora, devido ao que aconteceu no conflito Rússia-Ucrânia, a gente meio que teve um rompimento em relação a isso. Então, as coisas meio que mudaram de lugar, né? E eu vejo que a Polônia está realmente fazendo as coisas coisas de uma forma muito inteligente. O que mais me impressiona aqui, eu vou repetir novamente, é a questão de poder investir tanto em capacidade bélica, em capacidade militar, tecnologia militar, mas manter, né, essa qualidade de vida, o desenvolvimento, um bom transporte, dar acesso à educação para todos e não esquecendo também de ser um polo tecnológico, porque a Polônia, já lembro de ter reagido a vídeos aqui que fala muito sobre a questão da tecnologia na Polônia. É um país que é altamente tecnológico e eu acho isso fantástico. Realmente acho incrível como vocês estão se desenvolvendo e não esquecendo, né, de cada pedacinho que é essencial para que haja um equilíbrio e um crescimento muito saudável, né? Vocês estão fazendo isso de uma forma realmente com maestria. Mas, bom, essa foi a minha reação. Eu espero que você tenha gostado desse vídeo. Se você gostou, considere se inscrever. Vou adorar ter você por aqui. E se você já foi inscrito, não esquece de ativar as notificações. Então é isso. Obrigada por assistir esse vídeo e nos vemos na próxima reação. Tchau!